So today we fired our fence contractor, and it's really kind of a shame because the fact is he knew better. So he knew what he was supposed to do, but he went and did it wrong anyway. So let me show you what I mean. So the reality is that he knew what he was supposed to do with our fence. Now, if you guys remember at all, we went on vacation, and when we came back, we were on vacation for 4 days, and he came and we weren't able to supervise it during that time. And he came and he put on our first railing. And we came back and we said, no, we don't like that. And so I did a video on it, and I'll show you that. And I'm not going to go into too deep a detail here because my wife did a video on this too, and I'll put that link in the description. But here we have the railing, and the sad part is he knew what he was supposed to do. So let me show you what I mean. So here is the railing. Now, this is done almost correctly, so he knew what he was supposed to do. To start with, we wanted the railing to go into the column. So he added this piece, he welded it on, and then he welded it onto the rebar. Now what he had before was he had this rebar sticking out, and this attached directly to the rebar, so it was sticking out like that. But as you can see, he did it right here as well. So now he knew what he was supposed to do. The other thing that we wanted him to do was we wanted the rebar coming out of the concrete to be hidden by this railing. And you can see here that he fixed it. So he cut it, he attached it and welded it here and brought it over and brought it up. So he knew what he was supposed to do. And you go to the next one, and he decided to get lazy on it. Instead of doing the same thing, just moving it over a little bit, he attached it like this. Not what we wanted, but we said, we can kind of live with this, but it's not what we wanted. We go over here, and you can see correct. This is how we wanted it done. And then if you go here, you can see he did the same thing. He made an attachment here, and he just welded it and welded it. So the goal here, guys, was for this to be solid. And because he did it this way, it's nice and solid. And by hiding this, it had the aesthetic that we would be looking for. Now, the other thing is, if you can see here, is you can see some mistakes already. So, and this is another place where, well, who knows? He probably was thinking again that the rendering will fix it. And I think that with this fence contractor, he thinks that the rendering was going to fix a lot of things. And if you can see here, you can see that the railing was, so that's about 1 inch off the top of the hollow block. This gives us room to render underneath it. But as you go along, and you get to the other side, he is 2 inches above the railing. So he's depending on, instead of putting a level on this, he just kind of eyeballed it, right? But now, here's the interesting thing. We could live with this because the rendering will fix most of it. So we knew that he knew what he was supposed to do. And just so you can see on the other side, he did the same thing we wanted to do. He added this piece right here, and he bent this bar up, and then he welded it to this. Now, the last thing he would do was he would put concrete over this opening, and that would hide the rebar. And that was the right way to do this. But let's go to the next one. The next one you can see here. Now, he did this piece right again, but here, he's beside it. And again, now he's even getting farther off. He's beside it even farther. And then you go here, he's off. And again, he's off. And then it gets worse. We go to the next railing. And he just got lazy. No, it's not even behind it at all. He just didn't want to do it at all. And again, it's in between it now. In between. It's in between. And again, we have a situation where the railing is higher on that end and it's lower on this end. But it even gets worse, guys. So on this one, this next railing, now again, he did these correct. As you can see, these are correct. This is correct. This is correct. But again, this isn't behind this, it's beside it. And he just kept doing it. Just got lazy here and here. Instead of drilling a hole or again just cutting it, bringing it over and putting it on and attaching it, because then the rendering could fix it. But here's another problem I'm going to show you here in a second. And here it is again, it's in the middle. You know, it's off. But now look at here. Now the railing is sitting right on the hollow block. How is it going to render at all? You can't even do the rendering because the railing is sitting right on the hollow block. So, I don't know, guys. Now before we get into how bad the engineer is and all that kind of stuff, no, guys, this is not the engineer. This is a separate contractor that was doing the fencing. And we hired him because he was a friend of my wife's, an old classmate, and we had seen some of his previous work, and he actually did a pretty good job. So when we looked at his previous work, so we thought he was capable of doing this. I don't know. Sometimes you just never know. Now I'm going to try to make it to the other side over here. Let me show you something else that's kind of interesting while we're going here. They had to bring in more backfill because, again, we raised this backfill up a full meter. And as you can see, the tie beam there, this is going to go up to the tie beam. So they have to keep moving this backfill, and they keep packing it down because it has to be solid. But again, guys, I want to make sure that we keep it separate. The engineer, and the thing about the engineer that we like, and even though sometimes we'll see minor mistakes from the engineer's crew, they'll fix it right away. They fix it, and they're happy to fix it. There's no argument, and when they fix it, it's done correctly. Now, let me show you over here one more time. Here it is again, where we have this railing. It's half an inch up. The rebar in the wrong place. The rebar, it's in the wrong place. The rebar is in the wrong place. Again. And then over here, I can barely get my tape underneath it. So it's, you know, 1/8 of an inch. How are you going to render? You know, how are you going to render this? Now, someone might say, well, you can chip away the block, blah, 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 but that's the wrong way of doing it. It's just, I don't know, guys. So, as a result, we fired him. We said, no mas, no more. Now, I heard in the comments, and I think I want to clear this up, because I heard in the comments, oh, it seems like you guys are operating without blueprints and so on, and that's incorrect. We do have as-builts, and just like any project that you do, you can consult the as-built, and I don't think anybody here, or maybe you guys do, maybe there's someone here that has a photographic memory, I don't know, I don't have one. And so I don't remember everything that's on there, and I don't see everything on the as-built. But what does happen is as we go along, we will see things, and when they're incorrect, we can go to the as-built so we can say, hey, wait a minute. Now, I remember when I was a project manager, I ran into this quite often, where I would see something on the elevations that did not meet the architectural specifications that we had for the community. And I would look at that and I'd go, the peak of that garage is, I don't think that's the way we were supposed to do it, or the columns on that house, it's just not the way we have as our architectural specifications. Then I would go back to our elevations and I would say, yep, I'm right, that's not correct. And then I can go to the contractor and I can say, hey, this needs to be fixed. Hold on, I gotta pick something up, I just dropped. Just to give you a quick update here, which I think you'll appreciate. So here, The spandrel eaves are almost done. There's just a little bit left over on that side over there. And guys, we are so happy with the way this looks. The spandrel eaves are pretty much up all around the house, and it's starting to look great. And you can see the soffits, they're there. So there's an airflow, and so the air gap that we wanted to have created is being created, and we're really happy about that. Now the other thing is, as you can see, a lot of the finish is almost completed on the outside of the house. Now, what happens is once they finish this, they're going to primer it, and then after that, there's another coat that goes on. I can't remember if that's called a seal coat. I think that's what it's called. We'll go on after that yet. But let me show you inside where the hallway's pretty much almost done. Lots of music here, guys, but here's the master bedroom. The master bedroom's almost all done, looking great. Here they are, they're finishing up in the master bath, looking great. And then again out here, guys, on the other side, let me show you. Here we go. The eaves. The eaves are done. Let's see if I can get that on camera. Here we go. The eaves are done, and you can see the soffits. And you can see here dripping. The downspout is working. That's kind of good to know. Here we go. There's some more. So we're really happy because the spandrel eaves are done. And now I know you might say something about these vents here, but that's covered in my wife's video. That is being fixed. Guys, we have decided that with the well that we are going to go with a top mounted pump. And the reason being is that because the pump or the well is only 79 feet deep, we think we're going to be able to use a top mount and that'll work just fine. And the other thing that we are considering, just so you know, is we are considering putting in a shallow well for the pool. So strictly just so that we fill up the pool. I don't know what you guys think about that, because I'm not sure if it'll be irrigation water that we're going to hit with a shallow well, or we'll still hit the aquifer with a shallow. I'm not sure. But it was brought to our attention that we could bring in a shallow well to use to fill up the pool, because that water is going to get filtered and so on. Now, the other thing is guys, yes, we are going to have a tank as far as a pressurized tank, and we are thinking about getting a holding tank as well, just so we have extra water. And down on these downspouts here, what we're going to do is we're going to put a rain barrel down on the bottom here so that we can gather that water and use it later. Yeah, we fired the fence contractor. And so now here's a question for you. Because the engineer, I don't think he's going to touch this fence because someone else has already done so much work on it. He doesn't want to have any responsibility to do with this. So now we're going to have to think about maybe getting another contractor. Now, we did find a guy, I mentioned him in another video, that we've seen his work too. And evidently he does fence work. But what we have decided is that before we get into this question, is we have decided that what we're going to do is we're going to have the railings fabricated. We're going to go to a welder, we're going to show them what we want, we're going to have them fabricated, and then we'll have a new contractor come in and put them up. So they'll have to come to the site, they'll have to measure every one of the columns so they know what the distance is and the height is going to be, because on this side here, this is going to be shorter because the wall is taller, and we want there to be some sort of symmetry so that it doesn't get too high. So yeah, as you can see, that's going to be the height of the columns on this side, and so that's a little bit it's not as much footage here. I think this is what this is. If I can see, it's so bright. Yeah, this is just under 2 feet, so it's going to be a little bit shorter. So anyway, we have yet to decide how we're going to go about finding the right contractor. Now, like I said, we have someone in mind, but whether or not he does the railings and stuff like that, we know that he does rendering, and we know that he does tile work because we've seen his work. So it is possible that he might know how to put on the railings once we bring them back in, because we're going to get them fabricated. But if you guys have any suggestions on that, go ahead and put that in the comments. Like I said, I always love to hear from you guys, because all throughout this build, guys, I've learned from you. I am not an expert on Philippine construction. Oh, and there is one more thing I wanted to bring up. So let me go over here, and I want to show you something. Because another thing in the comments, guys, has been about the structure of this building. And I'm going to tell you that the structure of this building is very sound. Now, one of the things that we'll talk about is the foundation, because the foundation of this building, they went about over 3 meters into the ground. And I'll show you a picture here. So they went into the ground, and they put all the columns all around the foundation. And then what they did is they tied that foundation with a tie beam. Each column was attached to that tie beam. So we know that this is very solid. And the other thing that they did, which you can see here, is, I'm going to show you, is once again, I keep hearing about whether or not this is going to be strong, if it's structurally sound, blah, blah, blah. Hey, the engineer knew what he was doing. We have as-builts. Those as-builts were approved, so we know that it was done right. Now let me show you here real quick. There we go. So you can see there's a tie beam. Hi guys, kumusta? Nambag nabigat. And so you can see, guys, there's a tie beam all around this. And you look at how the trusses are into the cement just above this tie beam. You see? The trusses are solid. And here you can see that they have I don't even know what gauge that is, maybe a 10 or 16? I don't know what those rebar are. But that is solid. And then they have a tie beam going across. Let's see if I'll show you over here. But once again, all of these trusses are secure. There isn't a typhoon in this world that's going to uplift that structure, those trusses. And then additional support, you can see there's a tie beam going across here. But take a look. These tie beams are tied into every column. So when people are talking to me about whether or not the windows are going to survive because of the lentils and stuff like this, the engineer knows what he's doing. There's enough horizontal and vertical rebar in here, so I don't have to worry about that. And I know that there's going to be guys from other countries who say, no, you got to do it this way because, that's how I do it. I'm an engineer. I know what I'm doing. And if you don't do this, this is going to fall apart. I hate to tell you this, guys, but the truth is that the Filipinos have been building these buildings for years and years and years and years. And there are buildings that have been holding up for 30 years being done Filipino way. So, yeah, while we know that local contractors can be very questionable, and often we have to supervise the local contractors. But an engineer with as-builts, with a material list, and this type of tie beam structure, it's pretty solid. And I tell you this because my channel is to try to help other expats know that you don't have to come here and be a contractor. You don't have to be an engineer, but you do have to be smart. You do have to come here every day and you have to try to follow up. You have to try to see if everything is kind of lining up the way you see it, or your vision is being fulfilled. And if it's not, then you ask those questions. Look at your as-bills and see if, does this make sense? Is this what was supposed to be here? And then go to your engineer and make sure that it gets done correctly. So anyway, guys, that's it for this video. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.